Welcome to the Early Grade Student Growth Portfolio Purpose, Process, and Platform Training presentation. Before student growth portfolios were introduced, teachers That's okay. Teachers in non-tested grades were assigned evaluative growth scores based on metrics that were often out of their immediate locus of control. The portfolio process allows non-tested teachers to demonstrate student growth that occurs in their own classroom with their own students. This growth is evaluated by peers intimately familiar with the standards and grade level context. This process helps contribute to a high-quality education for all and helps Tennessee to be the top state to become and remain a teacher. In this presentation, we will explore the purpose and process of the Tennessee Student Growth Portfolio for the early grades. We will dive deeply into the structure of the portfolio and how to create a high-quality portfolio to submit for review. We will also discuss the support available for teachers throughout the portfolio process and walk through the portfolio platform. You may want to have the Team Portfolio Guidebook for administrators and teachers, the Team Portfolio Resource Guide for the early grades, and the scoring rubric specific to your grade level handy, as we will be referring to all of these resources throughout the presentation today. This PowerPoint is also, and resources are also available on the team website. So if at any time you need to go back and reference specific slides, that it will be available to you as well. Please access the portfolio resources relevant to your assignment now, as they will be referenced throughout the presentation. First, let's explore the purpose and benefits of implementing student growth portfolios. The student growth portfolio allows non-tested teachers to show academic growth of the students in their classroom and provides an opportunity for teachers to take personal ownership of that growth. Student growth is evaluated by peers intimately familiar with the standards and grade level context. Portfolios help teachers reflect on their instructional practices, group students for differentiated learning, and to see student growth in authentic instructional tasks. Not only are students growing throughout the year, but through reflection of their instructional practices, teachers can too. As teachers, leaders, instructional coaches, principals, and district personnel explore and implement the contents of the following materials, it is recommended that they do so within a professional learning community or other collaborative group that focuses on long-term and short-term planning, ongoing formative assessment, standards-based instruction, differentiated and targeted instructional practices, and student work. The art of analyzing student work, when grounded in collaborative thinking, self-reflection, and differentiated instruction, can have a profound impact on student academic growth. The portfolio process allows non-tested teachers to demonstrate student growth that occurs in their own classroom with their own students. The student growth score is essential in generating a teacher's level of overall effectiveness, or LOE. Observations comprise 50% of an educator's LOE, 15% of the LOE is student achievement, and the student growth portfolio makes up 35%. Let's discuss in depth the structure of the team student growth portfolio, how to create a high quality portfolio, the portfolio options and standards available for ELA and math, the collection of work samples, scoring, and more. Please access the standards and scoring rubric associated with your grade level. The Tennessee Student Growth Portfolio consists of 4 collections of student work, 2 ELA and 2 mathematics. Within each collection, you will submit 2 student work samples from the same student, point A and point B, for each of the differentiated groups, emerging, proficient, and advanced. For one collection, let's say the literature narrative collection, you will submit point A and point B work for 1 emerging student, 1 proficient student, and 1 advanced student, making a total of 6 submitted student work samples for the literature narrative collection. Follow the same process for the informational explanatory collection in ELA and both math collections, for which specific domains vary depending on your grade level. Though there is no requirement to do so, varying the students whose work is used among the different collections presents a more comprehensive picture of the growth occurring in your classroom. However, with smaller class sizes, it may be necessary to use the same student for an ELA collection and a math collection. Access page 6 of the Portfolio Guidebook for Administrators and Teachers. Notice the bullet points that relate to practices you do on a normal basis to prepare for instruction and assessment in the classroom. Notice the bullet points that relate to practices specific to the portfolio that you do not do on a normal basis to prepare for instruction and assessment in your classroom, and reflect on how much of the portfolio process is something you already incorporate into your routine, and what of the portfolio process is new to your routine and specific to the student growth portfolio. Since we are participating in this group training as a group, let's take a moment to discuss your reflection now. And I'm going to come out of the presentation and see if we have any questions in the chat. So we won't rest too long here, but the purpose of this is to really think about what you're already doing and how you do it, and incorporate that into the portfolio process, rather than thinking of this as something that is different or extra than what you're already doing. The options available for the ELA portfolio include a cluster of 3 standards: 1 foundational standard, 1 reading standard, and 1 writing standard. Teachers choose 1 of the 3 available literature narrative options and 1 of the 3 available informational explanatory options. Within each grade level, the foundational standard is the same across all 6 options, and the writing standards only differ between genres. The reading standard changes from option to option. Please note that if you are a departmentalized teacher and only teach ELA, you should select 4 of the available options, including 2 literature narrative options and 2 informational explanatory options. Please find the options available for your grade level in the Team Student Growth Portfolio Resource Guide for Early Learning, beginning on page 11. Take a moment to read and think through the ELA options available for your grade. Think about tasks you already use that could be used for the portfolio in the options that you choose. What tasks could you create or find for options that you choose? While you are reading through the options available for your grade level, be sure to note the standards that use phrases such as "with prompting and support" or "orally." We will discuss what this might mean for scoring that standard in ELA specific scoring guidance portion of our presentation in a few moments. The options available for the math collections in the portfolio include a single standard. You will choose 2 standards from different domains such as counting and cardinality, operations and algebraic thinking, numbers and base 10, and measurement and data. Each grade level has different requirements of domains from which to choose standards. This is explained in the grade-specific information we'll discuss in a moment. Please note that if you're a departmentalized teacher and only teach math, you should select 4 of the available standards. Here are the grade level specific options. They are also listed in the Team Student Growth Portfolio Resource Guide for Early Grades on page 18 through 21. Pre-K teachers should choose 1 counting and cardinality standard and 1 operations and algebraic thinking standard. Kindergarten teachers should choose 1 counting and cardinality standard and 1 standard from either operations and algebraic thinking or numbers and base 10. First grade teachers should choose 1 operations and algebraic thinking standard and 1 numbers and base 10 standard. Second grade teachers should choose 1 numbers and base 10 standard and 1 standard from either operations and algebraic thinking or measurement and data. Take a moment to think through the math options available for your grade level. Think about tasks you already use that could be used for the portfolio and standards that you choose. What tasks could you create or find for standards that you choose? We'll take a few moments here for you to read through the math standard options available for your grade and to reflect by yourself or share with others. After identifying the options and standards you would like to use for your portfolio collections, it is time to begin collecting student work samples. Point A work samples should be collected at the onset of the learning related to the standards being taught. Standards-aligned tasks should be designed to allow students to demonstrate mastery or growth towards mastery of the standard or standards. After collecting your Point A work samples, score them according to the related content-specific rubrics. Then you will sort work into 3 differentiated groups: emerging, proficient, and advanced. Differentiated grouping is the term used to describe the 3 levels of student groups: emerging, proficient, and advanced. Emerging students typically score below level 3. Proficient students typically score at level 3, and advanced students typically score above level 3. It is important to keep in mind that level 3 is the end of year grade level expectation. Because collections in the ELA portfolio include multiple standards, teachers should group students into an overall category of emerging, proficient, or advanced based on the collective performance on the 3 standards: foundational reading and writing. This categorization should be determined by totaling the 3 individual scores and using that total to rank order the artifacts. Teachers do, of course, have the flexibility to use their own professional judgment to make adjustments during categorization by considering their knowledge of students. Often, Point A student work artifacts demonstrate little variance in performance levels. For example, all students may score at a level 1 or 2 at Point A. In these instances, the task-specific expectation should be utilized along with teacher judgment and possibly various other assessment data to categorize the student work artifacts into differentiated groups. At the completion of the learning of the same standard used for Point A, the teacher should administer a standards-aligned task to collect work samples for Point B. The Point B student work samples should assess the same standard as Point A and be scored according to the same rubrics used for Point A. The teacher will then conduct purposeful sampling. Purposeful sampling is the process of selecting student work for inclusion in the portfolio collections. This means the teacher will determine which student work sample pairs, points A and B, to submit for each of the differentiated groups of a portfolio collection. The student work chosen for each differentiated group should be representative of the growth within that differentiated group. For example, there are 5 students in the emerging group at Point A. 3 students grow 2 performance levels from Point A to Point B, and 2 students grow 1 performance level from Point A to Point B. The teacher should select a sample to submit in which the student grew 2 performance levels. The teacher will repeat this process for each of the other differentiated groups, proficient and advanced, within this one portfolio collection. The teacher will then follow the same procedure for selecting students for the other 3 portfolio collections using the associated rubrics. Please note that if you are a transitional classroom teacher, the work submitted within a collection must represent one grade level and standard-based collection. However, different collections can represent different grade levels. For example, if you are a pre-K and kindergarten transitional teacher, you may choose to submit 2 pre-K collections and 2 kindergarten collections. For more information for transitional classroom teachers, please refer to page 6 of the Team Student Growth Portfolios Research Guide for Early Learners. For the purpose of the student growth portfolio, student work can include, but is not limited to, written student work, video segments that demonstrate student performance or speaking, audio recordings of student conversations or think-alouds, or photographs of student work. Teachers are encouraged to store work locally throughout the year, but also have the option to upload student work artifacts into the online platform at any time. Additionally, teachers may choose to store work digitally. Google, Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive are all compatible with the team portfolio platform, Portfolio. Teachers should check with their district about approved online storage platforms. The deadline to submit all 4 completed collections is 11:59 p.m. local time on May 1st. Before clicking the submit button, carefully check all of the following. Ensure that all point A work is from the same student as point B work. Ensure that emerging, proficient, and advanced work is from 3 different students. Ensure that each piece of student work is available and working, including pictures, PDFs, and audio video. Ensure that no student work is duplicated or uploaded twice, either for 2 different students or the same work for point A and point B, and ensure that all work submitted within 1 collection refers to the chosen standard. Scoring rubrics are a critical part of planning and measuring student learning. Teachers can use the rubrics to understand the types of performance seen in student work at varying levels, to categorize student work into performance levels, and to identify the types of performance that indicate progress for instructional planning. ELA and math-specific rubrics are available according to your grade level. Remember, both point A and point B student work should be scored within the same rubric within each collection. All early grade rubrics have performance levels 0 through 7. Levels 0, 1, and 2 demonstrate work below grade level expectations. Level 3 shows work at grade level expectations, and levels 4, 5, 6, and 7 show work above grade level expectations. More specifically, level 0 represents student work that does not demonstrate any competencies of the standard, which allows teachers that grow students from a level 0 to a 3 to receive the maximum benefit in scoring. At the other end of the rubric, levels 6 and 7 allow students at an advanced level at point A an opportunity to demonstrate growth from point A to point B. However, educators should utilize appropriate instructional practices that meet students where they are developmentally and academically. It is not an expectation of students to score at level 6 or 7 because they are above grade level expectations. It is important to continuously remember that level 3 is grade level expectations. However, these levels are available for students who are growing above grade level. Educators will not be penalized for growing students to level 6 and 7 at point B. However, it is not a requirement that all students reach level 6 and 7 on the rubric. More information about the scoring rubrics is available in the Team Portfolio Guidebook for administrators and teachers on pages 8 and 9, and in the Team Student Growth Portfolio Resource Guide for the early grades on pages 9 and 10 for ELA, page 17 for math. Once collected, each piece of student work should be self-scored for each standard in the chosen option: foundational reading and writing within the literature narrative or informational explanatory collections according to the associated rubrics. This will generate 3 separate scores at point A and 3 separate scores at point B for each student. Remember that performance at level 3 indicates the student is performing at grade level expectations. Levels 0, 1, and 2 indicate that the student is performing below grade level expectation and is typically categorized as emerging. Levels 4 through 7 indicate the student has exceeded grade level expectations and is typically categorized as advanced. The 3 scores from point A artifact will be compared to the 3 scores from the point B artifact to determine the overall score for the standards-based collection. Remember that each ELA student work artifact is scored on 3 standards: foundational reading and writing at both point A and B. While graphic organizers are important learning tools that assist students in organizing content and ideas, the goal of the standards in most cases is that students integrate this knowledge and understanding to demonstrate the standards. In pre-K and kindergarten, the use of graphic organizers and teacher modeling is an integral part of instruction. It is okay for students to use graphic organizers as they complete tasks. However, they are not considered authentic student work artifacts aligned to the standards and cannot be scored as such. It is important to upload the student writing sample, not the graphic organizer. In the first grade, however, the reading standards for option 2 in literature narrative collection and option B in informational explanatory collection ask students to use graphic organizers or written details and illustrations to show mastery of the standard. In this case, the purpose of the graphic organizer is to provide the student with a tool that can assist in moving toward more independence in the craft of writing, but it is still not considered an authentic student work artifact. It is still important to upload the student writing sample, not the graphic organizer. Some standards and descriptors in the scoring rubrics include the phrase pictures and/or words. This phrase is meant to represent the wide continuum of developmental writing. It encompasses all the developmental writing stages at which a student might approach a task. When the term writing is used in guidance around the portfolio and some of the additional resources, it refers to all stages of emergent developing writing, including pictures. In the case of descriptors stating pictures and/or words, pictures, dictation, letters, words, and/or any combination of these are accepted as an authentic student work artifact. Dictation allows a student to orally tell about the artifact they created. Though writing in pre-K and kindergarten is emergent, students must produce a written piece that may include a combination of drawing, dictation, and written words. More information can be found in the Team Student Growth Portfolio Resource Guide for the early grades on page 16. Because oral language precedes written expression, capturing evidence of reading comprehension solely through student writing may not always be possible. In pre-K and kindergarten, reading standards sometimes include the word orally. This means that the student can tell more about their work that may not be drawn or written on the student work artifact. When scoring the student's work on the reading standard, an oral response about the written piece can be used in conjunction with the written piece to determine the performance level on the reading scoring rubric. Thus, for pre-K and kindergarten, it's important to consider the oral component that teachers can capture through dictation, audio, or video, along with the written student work. However, for first and second grade, the student's writing artifact should demonstrate the student's ability to comprehend and is used to determine the performance level on the reading scoring rubric. As tasks drive student work, submissions may vary in appearance and structure. Student work should be approached in a natural manner, so it is not necessary for the student to explicitly state the language found in the descriptors of the rubric. For example, when the standard asks the student to demonstrate knowledge about the characters, setting, and events, the student does not have to write or say, the characters are, the setting is, the events are. The expectation is that the students should naturally draw, write, and/or talk about these elements in their work. The rubrics are not a guide for teaching. However, it is critical to stay grounded in the rubric descriptors while scoring. Be sure to state the title and author of the text used to generate the student writing artifact on the context narrative for each ELA collection. For more information on the context narrative will be discussed in the platform presentation. The math scoring rubrics measure only one standard each. They are not integrated like the ELA options. Therefore, each piece of student work in math will have only one score. Due to the standard content and developmentally appropriate tasks, audio and/or video may provide pre-K and kindergarten math standards the means by which to collect evidence. Videos are not required for student work evidence in math. However, if the standard requires that a student say something, then it is important that the evidence allows the student's words to be heard, such as audio or video. As students progress in the first and second grades, opportunities to share their thinking on paper is more prevalent. However, it is still critical for teachers to consider the best way to capture evidence as directed by the content that lies within each standard. The scaffold tasks for students start with the tasks at level 3, then you can move up or down the rubric as needed for the student to demonstrate mastery of the standard. Students may be given the same contextualized problem at point A and point B as long as the problem is used only as a part of authentic assessment of standard mastery. The exact problem should not also be used for daily instruction. This process is similar to other testing environments wherein a test question or situation is altered slightly to demonstrate the concept being taught and then applied to a similar but not exact copy for assessment. After submissions are complete, collections will be scored by peer reviewers who are intimately familiar with the standards, rubrics, and grade level content. These peer reviewers will use the same rubrics as did the teacher for points A and B. These rubrics are auto-populated by the platform for peer reviewer according to the standard or option chosen by the teacher. If a discrepancy of more than one performance level exists between the teacher's score and peer reviewer score for the average of a collection, a second peer reviewer scores the collection. If the second peer reviewer score is in consensus with either the teacher or the peer reviewer, the score is in consensus stands. If there is no consensus of scores between the teacher, the first peer reviewer, or the second peer reviewer, then an expert reviewer conducts the final scoring. This information is detailed in the Team Portfolio Guidebook for Administrators and Teachers on page 9. It is critical that teachers check and double check the work they submit. Peer reviewers will score a differentiated group as a level 1 if any of these things occur. If no growth is demonstrated, the work is received a score of 1. If the same student work is uploaded at point A and point B, the same student's work is uploaded in 2 or more differentiated groups within a collection, the score is a 1. If the student work is missing, the peer reviewer will score that group as a 1. If the task and student work is not aligned with the standard or cluster of standards chosen, the work receives a score of 1. If the work is not produced by the student, the work will receive a score of 1. And if the audio, video, and or picture of student work is not available, the work will receive a score of 1. After uploading each collection, go back and ensure none of these things occur. Something as simple as accidentally uploading the wrong student's work can result in a lower score. Now let's explore the process of calculating both the student growth score and the individual teacher's level of effectiveness. The teacher's portfolio calculates as 35% of the LOE in TN Compass. These scores are auto-calculated in the portfolio platform from the peer reviewer scores. Here we have an example of student scores from point A and B, as well as the growth score for each differentiated group within one collection. The emerging student for this collection scored at level 1 for point A and level 3 for point B, which gives this student growth of 2 levels. The proficient student in this collection scored a level 2 for point A and level 4 for point B, which gives this student growth score of 2 levels. The advanced student for this collection scored a level 2 for point A and level 5 for point B, which gives this student growth of 3 levels. For the ELA collections, which contain 3 standards and therefore 3 scores at each point in time, the scores are averaged to give an overall point A or point B score to be used to calculate growth in each differentiated group. The growth of each differentiated group within one collection is then added together and divided by 3 to calculate the average growth for that one collection. As you can see here, the 3 differentiated groups' levels of growth were added together for a total of 7, then divided by 3 to get the average growth of this collection to be 2.33 levels of growth. The average of 2.3 levels of growth is then compared to the student growth indicator chart seen here. This chart is also available in the Team Portfolio Guidebook for Administrators and Teachers on page 10. As you can see, the 2.33 levels of growth for this collection corresponds to student growth at level 4, which is above expectations. This indicator states that the students demonstrate, on average, 2 levels of student growth, but less than 3 levels of student growth in one collection. This process is repeated for the other 3 collections of the portfolio. Once all 4 collections have gone through calculations to determine the student growth score, it's time to calculate the teacher's effectiveness score, which will determine 35% of their overall LOE. As you can see here, we have student growth scores calculated for all 4 collections. Collection 1's student growth score is a level 4, Collection 2's student growth score is a level 4, Collection 3's student growth score is a level 3, and Collection 4's student growth score is at a level 3. These 4 scores of student growth are then averaged and compared to the teacher effectiveness indicator chart. The average of the student growth scores for these 4 collections is 3.5, which corresponds to level 4 because it is between 3.40 and 4.19. This teacher's portfolio teacher effectiveness score is a level 4. That is the score that will calculate into their overall LOE as 35%. Observations will account for 50%, and the student achievement score will account for the remaining 15% of the LOE calculated in TN Compass. Distance learning may be a reality for many teachers implementing the student growth portfolio for the early grades. Distance learning is often conducive to collecting evidence of student work to be uploaded to a digital platform. All recommended methods of collecting student work artifacts remain relevant in an online learning space. Recorded virtual meetings, screenshots, or other software applications may provide avenues for capturing student work. With further questions or for guidance, please consult the rubric, scoring notes, standards, the Team Portfolio Guidebook for administrators and teachers, the Team Student Growth Portfolio Guide for the early grades, and this training presentation, and any other available resources at team-tn.org/portfolio-resources. It is sometimes helpful to confer and discuss these topics with a teaching partner. You can also contact your district portfolio lead or email portfolio.questions@tn.gov. We have now completed the purpose and process portion of our training presentation, and we'll move into our training about the platform. The platform with whom the department collaborates for student growth portfolio implementation is Portfolium. Portfolium is an easy-to-use platform on which to upload, review, and calculate student growth scores. We'll walk step by step through several actions to help you feel more comfortable using the platform. Your district has already submitted teachers for rostering to Portfolium, and if you have not received an activation email yet, you should receive that in the next couple of days. Portfolium has experienced a lag in providing service over the last 2 weeks, and we're working very diligently with them to resolve those issues. If you were enrolled in Portfolium last year, then you should be able to access your account today and explore the options for 2020-21. Before we dive into the platform itself, let's discuss technology requirements. Chrome and Firefox are the best browsers for Portfolium access. However, Microsoft Edge is also supported. It is advised to not use Internet Explorer because it is not a supported browser. Portfolium supports multiple file formats for images, documents, audio, and video artifacts. We will look at the supported file formats in a few minutes. Please note, it is important to ensure that you are working with the most updated version of Internet browsers and media software, such as QuickTime, Windows, Media Player, etc. Before gaining access to the Portfolium website, your portfolio lead will create and submit a roster of all the teachers implementing the student growth portfolio in your district. You will then receive an email with a direct link and information about logging in for the first time. This email and information it contains is personal to you. Do not forward this email to other users. The first time you visit the platform website, you'll be asked to log in and register for the current year. When you register, you're asked to select the year, your role, your portfolio model, and your collections. Let's walk through this process now. After logging in, you're asked to select the year and your role. The current school year is shown here. Select the role of teacher to move on to the next step. Next, select which student growth portfolio you will be submitting. For example, if you are a first grade teacher, you will select first grade. If you are a first grade departmentalized teacher and only teach either ELA or math, select one of those options. I've selected kindergarten for the example in this presentation. Once you have selected your portfolio model, you'll be able to choose your collections. Remember, all pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade models include the literature and informational ELA collections. The 2 math collections depend on the domains available for your grade level. Please refer to the Early Grades Resource Guide, the Early Grades presentation, or confer with your district portfolio lead as needed for support with this selection. Hooray, you've completed the registration process in Portfolio. Here you can see your ELA options are ready for you to start working on. And if you scroll down, you can see math collections are also ready to work on. Now click on the collection title, which will take you to this screen. This is where you will choose the rubrics you want to use for scoring your student work and put information in your context narrative. Click on Scoring Rubric to bring up a screen and a list to choose which standard or cluster of standards you want to use to self-score student work. For scoring guides, select the portfolio model or collection you are working on. Select the standard or cluster of standards under Scoring Rubric. Because literature is the collection selected, the options will be options 1, 2, and 3. Other options will be available in different collections. After selecting the appropriate rubric or rubrics, return to the collection screen to begin working on your context narrative. You may choose to begin working on the context narrative early in the year, or you may choose to wait until you are ready to upload and score all of your students' work. Whenever you are ready to work on this, simply click on Context Narrative, which will take you to a text box in which to write the information peer reviewers need to know in order to score your students' work. When you complete your context narrative, be sure to type in all the information the peer reviewer needs to know about the collection, both points A and B. Here are some basic questions you may want to answer within your context narrative. You can even copy and paste these questions into your context narrative so you remember what questions to answer. Here you can see the copied text from the web page to describe what should be included in the context narrative and an example of a literature narrative context form. Be sure to include all relevant information pertaining to the task and students' work submitted for the entire collection. This includes information for both points A and B, as well as information concerning individual students. Here you can see an example layout of the text, tasks, and information on the videos. Information about your class or students' backgrounds is not necessary. Let's look through the example context narrative for literature narrative. This is only an example and was not written to pertain to any particular students or classroom. After copying and pasting the needed info into the context narrative, you can answer each question and delete the information from the web page when you have it completed. Be sure to tell about point A and point B, as well as if you use different texts or tasks for different children. For example, for point A, the text Stand Tall, Molly Lou Melon by Penny Lovell. For point B, only the emerging student used the text Goldilocks and the Three Bears, retold by Jan Brett. And the proficient and advanced students used the text The Three Billy Goats Fluff by Rachel Mortimer. The task for both point A and point B for all students, regardless of the text, write words and draw pictures to retell the story. Again, this is just a generic task that loosely relates to one of the literature narrative options. The task you describe in number 2 should describe the task you give your students based on the option and the standards you've chosen in Portfolio. Number 3 has to do with start and stop times for video or audio you may include. If the entire audio video source is necessary to fully score the artifact, you may not need to fill this out, or you could just mention that the full audio video is necessary for accurate scoring. If each student has an audio or video source in point A and in point B, you need to break down specifics for each student at each point. This could get lengthy, but that information could be valuable to your peer reviewer for accurate scoring. If you do not include audio video sources in addition to the student writing artifact, you could answer this question with not applicable. For number 4, if there is more information that was not asked in the previous 3 questions, you can address that here, or you can answer with not applicable. This is an example about clarifying a difference between the traditionally told Goldilocks story and the one retold by Jan Brett. Traditionally, Papa Bear's bed is too hard and Mama Bear's bed is too soft. However, in the story retold by Jan Brett, Papa Bear's bed is too high at the head and Mama Bear's bed is too high at the feet. This is a difference that peer reviewers would want and need to know to accurately score the student work samples. Let's look at another way to set up your context narrative form. This time we'll use task examples from the ELA informational explanatory options. Again, you should look at the 4 pieces of information that need to be included in your context narrative for your peer reviewer to accurately score the student work. Here you can see the point A information together and the point B information together. This is just another example of how you can set up your context narratives. For the informational explanatory student work artifacts, there are no videos, so the teacher has written in A to answer question 3. Also, no additional information was needed, so question 4 is also answered within A. The context narratives for math are slightly different. Again, you can copy and paste the information on the platform into your context narrative to remember what information needs to be given to the peer reviewer in order to accurately score your student's work. Now let's look at an example of a context narrative for a math standard. Here you can see the task is explained by the tasks on the rubric. Alternatively, you can list the task or create a task for the standard and explain it here. For sample A, this teacher asks the peer reviewer to watch the full video for all students, but gives more specific times and video numbers for sample B. Both are acceptable. If you don't use audio or video, you can simply write in A. When you are ready to upload your student's work, click on the appropriate collection. At the top, you will see information for the rubric and context narrative, but if you scroll down, you will see where you will upload your student work artifacts. Be sure that the correct rubric has been selected and the appropriate work is uploaded for the correct student in the correct collection. If any of these things are done inaccurately, it will result in a level 1 score across the differentiated groups affected. When you're ready to upload, simply click Upload Artifact for the appropriate differentiated group. After clicking Upload Artifacts for the emerging student at point A, the screen comes up to choose the file to upload. You can choose to upload from your computer, import from Google Drive, import from other services, or you can drag and drop the file in the rectangle. As you are creating and saving your student work artifacts, be sure that the file formats are compatible with the Portfolium platform. Please note the file formats that are compatible with the platform. Ensuring that you are creating and saving your students' work in these formats will make sure you are able to upload the artifacts into the platform when you're ready to do so. If you aren't sure if your file is compatible, you can check the link above or ask Portfolium using the chat feature. In addition to storing artifacts on your computer or in Google Drive, there are other services compatible with Portfolium. These are the options that come up in your Select Import from other services. These services include Google Photos, OneDrive, Box, and Dropbox. Now that the student work artifact has been uploaded, I can choose to save and score later or save and score now. If you choose Save and Score Now, the scoring window that allows you to look at your student work artifact and score appears. If you choose to score later, simply click on Score Artifacts and the scoring window will pop up. Please see the example for scoring student work artifacts. The artifact is on the left hand and you can scroll up and down to see the whole page. Listed on the right is the portfolio option or standard you choose for the collection. 2 boxes to check if you want to see the rubric's performance level descriptors and your reflection notes and the clickable scoring line. Because I chose to open an ELA collection, there are 3 scoring lines I need to look at, 1 for each standard in the cluster, foundational, reading, and writing. At this point, some teachers find it most helpful to have the scoring rubrics printed and in front of them. However, if you click the box beside Show Performance Level Descriptors, the rubric information for each level of the corresponding rubric will be detailed under the scoring line. The orange arrows are pointing to the box you can click to see the descriptors and to where the descriptors will be listed. If you want to add reflection notes, simply click the box indicated by the green arrow. It will also be seen under the scoring line and under the descriptors if you choose to view those as well. However, these reflection notes are only for you, the teacher. Peer reviewers will not see any of your reflection notes, nor will they be able to use them for scoring purposes. To choose the appropriate score, click the number on the scoring line that corresponds to the descriptor in the rubric appropriate for this work artifact. For this student work artifact, I've clicked 1 for this student's foundational score because the student did not write actual words using phonics and word analysis skills. It is important to note that this example artifact and scoring rubric are from the 2018-19 portfolio. The rubric descriptors for the current year should be used to score student work. Remember that ELA collections include 3 standards. By scrolling down on the right side of the window, I will encounter the scoring lines for the reading and writing standards. These have also been scored using rubric descriptors from 2018-19 as an example. Be sure to use the most updated rubrics from the current year to score your student work artifacts. As you can see here, the student scored a level 2 on the reading rubric and a level 2 on the writing rubric. Again, be sure you're using the most updated rubrics from the current year when you score your own student work artifacts. Now I have scored my emergent students' point A work, I can go back to my list of collections and see my updated status. Because I have uploaded and scored one point A artifact, I have a little bit of blue in my point A status wheel. This is indicated by the orange arrow. My status is also updated to say in progress, indicated by the green arrow. Notice the status of my informational collections as not started, and I have no blue in the wheels around A or B, which means I have not started working on that collection by uploading or scoring artifacts. This is indicated by the blue arrow. After all point A student work artifacts are uploaded and scored, the point A circle is fully blue, as with the point B circle. When both point A and point B are complete, you're ready to click submit to send the collection in for review. You must click the submit button before 11:59 p.m. on May 1st in order for the collection to be reviewed. If the collection is not submitted by that time, you will receive an incomplete and your level of overall effectiveness will not be calculated in T-Encompass. You must click submit for each of your 4 collections. Should you encounter a problem on the platform, Portfolium provides tutorials on how to view your collections, upload student work, and scoring student work artifacts. These tutorials can be found on the left side of your screen. Portfolium also has a chat feature in the lower right-hand corner. The experts can help you with many technology-related or how-to questions about the platform. Find the link to the platform at the bottom of the Tennessee Portfolio resource page on the Team-TN website. The direct link for the Portfolium platform is edu.portfolium.com/login/growth. At the beginning of each year, district portfolio leads create a roster for all teachers using the portfolio growth model. Until this happens, teachers will be unable to access the current year in the platform. For teachers new to the portfolio growth models, links will be sent to your emails with instructions to log into the platform.